Every room in our house has too many windows.
Hey, folks, it is Lisa coming back to you again. But friends, I have some really good friends with me here today, and we are going to talk about how local flowers can help build your business, become a part of your business. So I am here today with Gretel Adams of Sunny Meadows Flower Farm in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Gretel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And here we have Ellen Frost of Local Color Flowers in Baltimore, Maryland. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
So, folks, if you haven't been watching us in the last couple of, well, actually the last maybe 10 days, you may not know that Ellen's course, Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing, is open for enrollment. It's a once a year, it's a big school class. And we really wanted to just answer questions. So please post questions if you have them, and any three of us will answer that for you. But I'm going to first ask Ellen to introduce herself and tell us about her business and her business model that she has built these last 15 years and kind of what it's all about, because friends, it is pretty unique.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I am the owner of Local Color Flowers. We are a floral design studio located in Baltimore, Maryland, and we source all of our flowers locally. So everything we do, we use local flowers. So we do all the things a conventional florist does, like weddings, events, single orders, subscriptions, retail, classes, all the things, but we do that with locally sourced flowers, and we do that year round here in Baltimore. We're in around zone 7A, 6B, 7B, somewhere around there. And we source everything locally year round.
And that's, Ellen, I think anybody that's listening to this, particularly if they're a conventional florist, they're thinking like, no way.
I know.
No way. For someone that doesn't even really know much about the local flower scene, so define that. For you, that is what?
Sure. So for us, we say local is within 100 miles. And really, that's because we are sort of surrounded by growers throughout Maryland, throughout Virginia, throughout DC. It's really easy for us to use the 100-mile mark as our definition. For somebody who's maybe in the middle of the country, maybe more spread out, maybe in a more rural or suburban spot, you might have to make that definition a little bit wider. But for us, 100 miles is where we source from. And we have not really had any problems with that. We had a little bit of trouble during COVID because we couldn't cross state lines to get.
My goodness.
I know, it was so weird. There were requirements that you either test before you go over the state line to Pennsylvania and then test again when you come back to Maryland, which we obviously weren't going to do. So we did have a little bit of a problem during COVID, but otherwise, yeah, we've not ever had any problems with that sourcing model.
So Ellen's business is all 100% based on local flowers, but what she shares and teaches other people, whether they be designers or a flower shop or a farmer florist or somebody that's interested in doing that, and flower farmers that really need to know what the other side of the fence is about. And that's why we have Gretel here today, because Gretel and Steve sell flowers. They ship flowers even, but a big part of their business is selling to florists. And so Gretel, tell us about how you met Ellen, how long you've known her, and what your guys' relationship is about.
Well, I met Ellen through the ASCFG. I think it's been a long time that we've known.
Yeah.
10 years or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we met her in the very beginning. But I think our businesses were at 16 years, so I think we're at, pretty much at the same point in as far as business goes. And so, yeah, we've been around together, and I've seen her model grow, and then, around here we have some florists that have that utilize local flowers but aren't like 100% committed, and so we always say, yeah, everybody needs an Ellen. in their area. Like, you know, if local farmers all had someone that was that like committed to utilizing that. And so I think, you know, Ellen talks a lot about like the relationship with farmers. And so it's like, that's sort of where our piece comes in of like, what are the tools that you need to provide in order for this model to work for people, like having the seasonal projected availability, you know, really having an understanding of when you project bloom times to be. So like as much as the responsibility is on the designer to have sort of more fluid promises as far as color palettes. You know, we used to do weddings as well. So it was like, you know, just promising color palettes and not specific flowers, and sort of just contributing to the education of people, like understanding how that works. But then on the other side of that, the farmer's responsibility is to, you know, provide the florist with these tools to know, okay, Lizzie's bloom in July and Dahlia's bloom in August. And just so that there are like expectations of what they think that they will be able to use to be sure that they can like have enough of what they need to be able to promise people these things.
Because most people, I mean, certainly conventional florists and even florists who do use local really depend on the growers to learn that information, right? Like nobody is really in touch with like the seasonality of 100 different types of flowers. Like that's not a normal thing that most people know anymore. And so, right, the florist really does depend on the grower. And you know, any of those tools that Gretel's talking about, you know, Bob's year-long, you know, chart of what's available by month, like things like that, those are the things that we try to focus on to help people, you know, build those relationships and build those tools.
Yeah. And I think also like, you know, your model is local, and you kind of talk about like if somebody is sort of further out, where like there are growers like us or Peter Court Roses, or, you know, there are like other growers around the nation that do ship also. So like, you know, the model could also be domestic flowers.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's, you know, just as important to like focus on that. To support, like,
and that could be during the season because there's nothing else around, or during the winter when your local growers are, you know, done for the season. You know, there's lots of people doing, you know, winter shipping that are statewide, and it's great.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing I'm thinking of listening to you two talk, first off, that about what a relationship, a team, more like the florist and the farmer really is. But I would love to hear from each one of you just briefly. So why would somebody want to do local flowers? I mean, the florist that's sitting there saying, I'm getting my flowers now, you know, we're not having this biggest supply chain problem. Why would I even want to do that? And Ellen, do you want to share about the marketing because of the niche, the people that are searching for these types of flowers?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think that is a real benefit of using local flowers, one is that you may be getting, you know, varieties and types of flowers that you may not be able to get at the wholesaler. And, you know, this is always sort of rule number one of the ASCFG teaching. You know, there are things that don't ship well that you're better off getting locally. And so right off the bat, if you're a conventional florist who is only buying from the wholesaler, you may be missing out on really great local product that you are not going to see at the wholesaler. Also, you know, there's vase life issues. So if you're a conventional florist and a lot of your work is single orders or, you know, daily delivery orders, you're really looking for the flowers that have the longest vase life. And if you are, I know we talked about this the other day, you know, one of our farmers, Maya, is right down the street from us. She's less than a mile away. And she harvests in the morning, she delivers in the morning, we make the design in the morning, and it's out the door in the morning. And so by the time a customer gets it, they're getting really the freshest flowers that you can really get. And that is really going to impact vase life. So if you're a florist who cares about, you know, making sure your customer has a flower that is going to last, a local product is going to give you a leg up. And then, of course, there's just the story of local, which for us is really key to what we're doing, is just sharing the story of where the flowers come from, and using that as a marketing tool to get people excited about flowers. So, there's not a lot of story to tell about roses that come from Colombia or Ecuador, just, commodity roses. There's not a lot to say about that. They may be very pretty, the colors may be great, but there's really no story to share with your customer about that. The story of local flowers is the story of these relationships. It's the stories of real people. It's the stories of real farmers and real relationships that we have, and real families that, are impacted by local growing. And so using that to sort of share the story with people can really set you apart in the marketplace, because frankly, a lot of floral design looks exactly the same right now. If you look at Instagram, a lot of designs look exactly the same. Everything is roses and peonies, and there's a few standard things that everybody's using. And that is just not the model with local. You're really going to be able to give your customer a one of a kind, really unique, really interesting, really seasonal product.
You know what, before you go, Gretel, you know what I just thought of when you were talking about that? So many of the conventional florists that I sold to, I mean, their bread and butter were funerals and weddings, and they did some everyday deliveries.
Yeah.
But not nearly I mean, I was just thinking when you were saying that, think about doing a local wedding for somebody, and they get this whole backstory, their butt flowers are different. Do you think they're not going to think of you the next time they need a gift for somebody? Or it's like you actually cultivate a whole nother part of your business that people, I mean, maybe they would have grabbed a bouquet at the supermarket, but grabbing a bouquet from a local source has so much more interest in the story to tell. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gretel.
Yeah. I mean, just to build on that point, I think there are some, since this was our first year not doing weddings. So it was a little different for us, but there are some people that were our brides that are now our forever customers, where they come buy Christmas wreaths from us, and they come when it's their wife's birthday, and all of those things. So you really do build that relationship by having it be about the story. So and I think for us, we're close, we're in Columbus, so we're close enough to the city where florists can pick up also. And so just knowing we have a florist who comes at 1:30 because he knows that that's when the truck gets unloaded from morning harvest, and he can sort of pick out what he wants that's special that maybe wasn't on the list even. But I think we try to project 3 weeks out, which takes some years to be able to sort of project the field that far in advance. And so I think that's something a florist has to be willing to sort of have that flexibility of, it's not going to be just hydrangeas and roses every week, and wanting to sort of expand their creative possibilities to have different recipes and think about other types of flowers that they want to use. So for me, when I was doing wedding stuff, that was always what was fun about it, was that 2 bouquets weren't exactly alike. A purple bouquet in the spring looks totally different than a purple bouquet in the fall, just based on what the flowers are, instead of it always being, just a ball of red roses. It's something that's totally unique to you, even as through the years, what we grow, the repertoire changes, or there's crop failures and crop successes just each year, or new dahlia varieties or whatever. So it's even if it's a fall wedding that's blush and coral or whatever, it still is going to look different the following year than it would, from what it looked like last year. So,
and I think that part of Ellen's course coaches and mentors people to learn. I mean, they don't understand. I think there are probably conventional people that have stuck their toe in the water, had a bad experience, and that's easy to happen because it's a whole different business model, right?
Yeah.
And, Ellen, so tell us, what are the 6 weeks that are in the class? Because frankly, I think that all of them can apply to anybody in a flower-based local business, meaning flower farmers, designers, event people. Tell us, Ellen.
Yeah, so the class starts with week 1 is really sort of the landscape of the cut flower industry in general. And this is the history of flowers from, in the United States as far back as colonial times, how local flowers really have progressed, a look at the global industry, and how, a florist or a farmer fits into this big flower world. And then the second class is really about sort of decision making. Like, why do you want to do local flowers or source locally? What's your goals in that? And what's your definition of that? And it's not, definitions are, there's a reason for them, right? It's to help your customer understand the product that you're giving them. So this is really a sort of pen to paper class where you're thinking about your own model and what these decisions are going to mean for your own business model. And then class 3 and 4 is really all about the building of relationships with the farmers and all of the logistics that go into buying from local farmers. So from all those things that Gretel is saying, she's projecting 3 weeks out. I would die for somebody to project 3 weeks out. But a conventional florist who buys from a wholesaler, they're ordering months in advance. They are not going to be used to a farmer saying, hey, I have something available tomorrow. Do you want it? And so how to make that work for your business, even if you are still ordering from a wholesaler. And then class 5 is really about how, now that you've decided to use local, how are you going to sell local? Because selling local is different than maybe selling conventional flowers. So how to differentiate yourself in the market, how to market local, how to sell local, how to tell the story. And then the last class is really about community building, because I think this is, for us, really the special sauce of what we do. So much of what we do is not just about selling flowers. It's about building community, and how building community both with our customers, with our farmers, and with people in our sort of region. All of that is, the specialness that helps us succeed as a business. And we want to share that information with others.
So Ellen, just give us the bird's eye view of some of the unique events that you create, because I'm telling you, they are what Ellen's business is what I think what the movie about a flower shop is about. It's not, you know what I mean? It's the fun stuff. I'm not saying they don't work hard and they got issues and they got problems. And for that, you have to check out her new blog, which she'll talk about here in a minute.
Yeah.
But bloom battles, y'all. Bloom battles. That's just one of the many things. Tell us, Ellen, just about some of the events that y'all do for your community or in your community.
Sure. So, always since we got a building 10 years ago, we have tried to invite people into the building, and not just for paid things. We have always, my background's in community development, and we always want to sort of involve the community and our neighborhood in what we're doing. And so we have a book club. We're going into our 10th year of having a book club. And while that seems like a really weird thing for a flower shop to have, it's a way to build relationships with people around using flowers as the tool. And that's always what we're about. How do we use flowers to build community? So we have a book club. We do have lots of what we call flower club events. And one of them is Bloom Battle, which is an amateur floral design competition that we hold every year with celebrity judges and community voting. And it's a whole weekend long scene. It's very exciting. And there's lots of drama. We also have done, for Flower Club, we've done a flower trivia night where we had over 100 people in the community come, no charge for that. A night long of trivia around flowers. We've also done a chopped style competition where people get a surprise box of stuff and they have to make a design with it. All kinds of things. I mean, it just goes on and on. We just, decorated a little Mini Cooper just with our community for fun with flowers. And we're just, trying to find ways to keep people involved, keep people excited about flowers, learning about flowers. And then, when they need flowers, they'll think of us.
It's called marketing.
Yeah.
Is what that is. I mean, it's the good kind of marketing,
Yeah.
right? So, I want to say a couple things, talking about dahlias and about the ASCFG telling us that our niche as flower farmers is to produce those things that don't ship well.
Yeah.
I just had a firsthand, one of the gals that works for me is a freelancer for a really big event person, and they had an enormous country club whole event area was going to be covered in dahlias, and they were shipped in, and they had all been frosted apparently. But before they were put in the boxes, they were all bad. And I just want to say that dahlias are like the jewels of the local flower farmer, right? I mean, they do ship. They're very fragile to ship.
Yeah.
But if you're a non-local buying florist and think you're going to show up on Gretel's farm at the height of dahlia season, maybe because she has 80,000 plants, she might have room for
You'll
you.
probably have extras.
But the average flower farmer is not looking, for the one-time sale. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, right, Gretel? I mean, the ranunculus and the anemones and all these, and the lisianthus, all these amazing crops are such better quality than what's shipped in, right?
Yeah. And I think that you have better selection too, like even if a wholesaler does carry ranunculus, they might only carry white, yellow, pink or something like that, whereas like we have 3 different shades of blush, and then there's these ones that are peachy, or there's something special that happens, we're always trialing like new varieties and stuff. So it keeps it interesting for us as growers to not always be doing the same thing, but it also is fun and exciting for florists too. Yeah. And I think, since we're not doing weddings right now, it's always fun for me to kind of see our stuff being used in other people's designs and sort of like how their eye sees those flowers go together. And they get to use some of the fun stuff that I planted because I was doing weddings, and now we don't need it. So there might only be, most of the time we won't list something if we don't have 5 or 10 bunches of it. But it's like if somebody's coming to pick up, or it's something that's really like special and fun, then we might put it on the list just so that way we can like see somebody use it and, see it in their designs.
And this is such a good, Gretel's good because this is the example of stuff we talk about in the class about how do you build a relationship with a grower so that you can get the special stuff that isn't on the list. How do you build a relationship so it's okay for me to come at 1:30 when all of the special stuff comes out of the field? It's not just here's an availability list, send in an email, get a delivery, that's it. So much of what we do is like reading text messages at 5 a.m. of some like weird thing that there's one bunch of that is going to be perfect for the wedding. And, can we get it? Like, that is the special relationship that we're talking about. It is not the same as just typing in an order, getting an order. It's just a different thing.
Yeah. There are customers that we have that I'm like, oh, they're going to really like this, so it's like, even though we have an online shop and people can order, the idea is kind of like frictionless sales. It's like, there are still people that will email or text or whatever and say like, hey, this also happened, like, especially on a Monday. I feel like, as much as I can project out, it also is like, if it's warm, a lot of things happen over the weekend. Yeah. So like on Monday is kind of like when we're reaching back out to people to say like, hey, I know you said you had this coral wedding and we've got this like happening, if you want something special, or like, I know that somebody, like, we can put it on the truck because I know that one of the florists on the route will buy it when they see it because it is like something special.
So, Ellen, who would you say is the right person for this course?
Yeah. Well, I think any florist or floral designer who wants to incorporate any or more local into their sourcing. So if you are not buying anything local, this will help you get started. If you're buying some local and you want to source more, I think this will also help you. So that could be florist, floral designer, farmer, florist, even a flower farmer. We have growers here that also do weddings and often supplement their own flowers with other local growers' flowers. So a way for them to also help build relationships and learn how to source locally from their, their peers. And then also, of course, I know Dave is always saying this, like if you're trying to sell to a florist, this is a great class for you to sort of get a behind the scenes look at what a florist needs, what a florist wants, what they're expecting. And that the more knowledge you have, the better able you are to serve them. And just like Gretel's saying, she knows her florist. She knows what they like. She remembers that they have a choral wedding this week. She knows that they don't like a certain thing. And the more that you know what a florist needs and wants, the better able you are to serve them. So I think the class can be great for them too. One thing you would say that this is not a design class. There's no designing in here. This is really a business class.
I think the marketing and the community building session weeks, I mean, those are there's a week designated to each one of those, is super significant for anybody in the flower-based business that needs to promote and market their flowers, right? So Gretel, did you want to add anything to who might be a good fit for this course?
Yeah, I was just going to say about like farmer florists. I think, definitely other farmers. Something that we didn't fully expect was that other farmers are some of our best customers, because it is like they have weddings or they have events, or even they have a market that is not a farmer's market, that's not like growers only, or they're doing a pop-up or something like that, and they don't have enough of what they need. We have a lot of other growers that buy from us to like supplement for things like that. So I think that it does appeal to farmers, even if you're not necessarily planning on doing full-fledged weddings. It's like you might also take on an order for, a birthday party or something and not have enough. There's kind of a lot of opportunity to sort of like understand how it works. And seeing her side of it too gives you an understanding of how Ellen is selling that to her brides. So that way, like you can help her fulfill those expectations.
Because we're a team, right?
Yeah. I mean,
if I win, you win. If you win, I win. That's how it works.
Definitely.
That is so very, very true. So I'm going to run down these couple of things. These are some of the questions that we've received. Will I have time to take this course? And for anybody that's not familiar with the way that our online courses work, they're all pre-recorded, except you get a weekly live Q&A, which is ultimately recorded and added to your library so you can revisit it. But what that means is you can watch all of this at your own pace. But, the benefit is to watch as much as you can so that you can have your live Q&A with the instructor each week. So the bottom line is you don't have to hurry up and watch it all, because you have lifetime unlimited access to the actual courses to watch them over and over again. And the thing is, can I afford the course? The course is $495. We do offer a 2-payment plan if that helps you out. And we give a 7-day money-back guarantee. And that's 7 days from when the class goes live in January. So enrollment closes Wednesday night, November 9th. Is that right?
Yeah.
Why does my clock now say July 31st? Have I left the planet and come back?
Yeah.
Stare at it for a minute. That's kind of crazy.
We didn't fall back that far.
No.
Oh my goodness, for real. So enrollment only opens once a year. Because our big schools are so heavy with the instructors' involvement, we only enroll once a year, and they run through the 6 weeks once a year. So you have until Wednesday night at midnight. The class starts in the beginning of January. And Ellen, what night are your Q&As on?
I think there's Sunday nights.
That's right.
7 o'clock, maybe.
And if you can submit questions ahead of time, and then those are recorded and put into your library. I did my first Q&A last night with my students, and I totally forgot. So they now have a slideshow for the PowerPoint for the questions, the Q&A. Well, not only do you have that, but they go back in and timestamp it. So you can actually just glance at your timestamp and say, oh, this is where my question was answered, and go right in and watch it. But anyway, so the class is available at thegardenersworkshop.com. It's right there on the homepage. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Ellen or DM her or on Facebook. Yep. She's really good about answering questions, and I'll do my best to get to your questions if you ask us. And if you want to ask Gretel, do you really think a flower farmer would benefit from this? Because, you know, the thing that Dave Dowling and I did a whole event talking about Ellen. And our bottom line is this: as flower farmers, put aside all that other stuff, all the other, what the real purpose of the course is, you know, for designers and florists. We feel like every business person, no matter what your business is, should be an expert in that field. And you need to know, have you ever gone somewhere and had somebody really awesome help you and they just seem to know everything? You want to be that person for your customers, right? And this fills your pockets up with stuff to talk about, to post on social media. And anyway, so I highly recommend it. Ellen, Gretel, do you have anything that you'd like to add before we sign off here today?
No, I just think that, what Ellen's doing is great. And the whole industry needs more designers like her to help support like local flowers. And the more people that are open to that, the more designers that are doing that, the more that the whole wedding industry like can change, so that it isn't just the same recipe over and over again. It's, it benefits all of us. So
yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Ellen, for leading the way. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. We all need, if every flower farmer had an Ellen, all would be right with the flower farming world, right?
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for joining us here today. And again, just reach out if you have questions, thegardenersworkshop.com, and we can hook you up and get you enrolled. And we hope to see you in school there. All right, friends, until I see you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.